getting married or buying a home is turning point in one's life. It's supposed to be a joyous occasion that changes your life for the better. In my case, it was very different. I never dreamed something like that happened to me. I'm Tracy, 35 years old. I started thinking about marrying my Steve about 2 years ago. We had been dating since high school. It was a tumultuous relationship of up and getting back together. Before I knew it, I was already 33. Yeah. We had been together so long that was six, like an old married couple. Although I didn't care much about Ma at that point. It felt dizzy to imagine a new relationship if we broke up. I was also afraid to miss the chance of getting married in the future. My parents were eager for me to marry right away. I still contemplated and worried about my freedom, though. I spanked Steve's butt, and we finally got married the year before. We had already been living together, so marriage didn't make much of a difference in our lifestyle. Only my parents seemed to be relieved when it was done. They had been concerned about me ever since my older sister got married.
Are you on track? When will you get married?
It seemed that they were waiting for grandchildren to come next. When I saw them talking excitedly about marriage and grandchildren, I felt like I had made them happy. Steve, on the other hand, lost his parents several years ago, so his mother is his only family. She lived just a 5-minute drive from my house, but I hardly ever saw her. The reason was simple. I didn't like her much. My parents were rather mild-mannered, soft-spoken. Penny was somewhat sarcastic and harsh. When I went to visit her in high, she used to say things like,
"You're here again.
once I overheard her telling Steve,
You have bad taste in women." I
was quite hurt back then, but I broke up with him because his mother didn't like me. I used to be in my friendliest manner in front of her to be liked. When it was her birthday, I worked a part-time job and bought her gifts. Regardless of her attitude, it never changed me. So I eventually stopped trying and started to avoid seeing her in person. One day, I received a rare phone call. I didn't even have her number saved phone, so I didn't know who it was. When I answered, I heard her voice.
Hi, Tracy. I asked Steve for your. I want to talk to you about something that happened today.
Although I hadn't spoken to her for time, she sounded to be in a good mood. Since I had been avoiding her, I felt relieved that she might have been happy in our marriage.
Okay, I'll come after I finish
I was a freelance web designer. I used to work for a company, but now I'm independent. After making good connections in the industry, I decided to go out on my own. Thankfully, my income was more than much as when I was an employee. I worked from home and was able to hours to suit my needs. However, I had to do my chores as sick.
Then, can you come over in the evening?
Penny asked me.
I have to prepare dinner.
I was about to refuse.
Steve will likely be working late, so I think he'll have dinner out.
I wondered how she knew about it. Was he in frequent contact with her, just didn't know about? I was surprised to see that, well, she was his mother and lived, he must have been concerned about her. I convinced myself with my thoughts. I promised and hung up the phone. Steve had been coming home late from, I thought that he might have been visiting. After all, it's just the two of them, so they must have needed to be together. I was thinking positively about it. In the end, it was only wishful thinking on my part. A few hours later,
Hi, Penny. It's been a while.
I greeted her by handing her a box I bought in the neighborhood. She smiled and tossed it aside without thanking me. Her gesture gave me a bad feeling. I followed her into the living room a little annoyed. As soon as we sat down on the sofa,
Hey, are you building a house?
she asked me.
Oh, you heard from Steve. I want a bigger workspace. And if we might as well build a. Nothing concrete has been decided yet.
I was a little surprised that she knew about Steve being chatty, so he must have mentioned it to her. What she told me next was quite shocking, though.
Oh, good. Then it's not too late. Can you make a room for me too? In old, you know. I feel lonely living alone.
That's a bit sudden. I mean, we've only just met.
It was totally out of the blue. I couldn't immediately give her an
Why not? You're making a lot of money, Steve, too, is working hard. If you could build a two-story house with separate entrances, we wouldn't have to see each other much. But if something happened, we could help each other out. If you have a baby, I can babysit. You can continue working as usual.
She had the point. If we did have a child in the future, would be nice to have someone out.
Then I'll talk it over with Steve.
Oh, he already knows about it.
About living together?
I hadn't heard anything from him.
He has already given his approval. Besides, he says your savings will to cover it.
What? No, he hasn't said anything. And why should we build a house with my saving? He's been working too.
I couldn't help but raise my voice. I was flabbergasted by the unexpected events and wondered how they had come about.
Because he hasn't been able to hold job for very long and hasn't saved money. You can pay at first and I'll pay when this house sells. 3, I've already got a quote from an estate agent.
She was calm, as if she had already her mind.
You've already made arrangements to house? Well, I understand what you've said. I will talk to Steve, so please wait. I leaving now.
I left her house and groaned over the situation. Then I took out my phone to call Steve. There was a message from him saying, "I'm going out with my clients, so need dinner." Penny was right. I thought she was closer than me to. Penny just spoke to me about living together. I sent a reply, but it didn't get to. In the end, he didn't return home until midnight. I wanted to discuss the matter with soon as possible, but he was coming every day, and we couldn't find tin talk. I was freaking out that Penny was G-sell the house at any moment. I threatened him by saying that if home on Sunday, we weren't going to new house. And the day came. Steve had been playing video games pajamas since morning.
Hey, what are we going to do about the house?
Oh no, I'm already busted.
He was so engrossed in the game that conversation didn't go anywhere.
Hey, are you listening to me? I've been thinking about the mortgage.
Huh. Oh, from the beginning again.
I was getting irritated. I didn't want him to complain later, so I recorded audio while I explained about the move.
That's the kind of mortgage we're going to get. Don't complain about it later, okay?
What the hell is this stupid game? Let's play a different one.
Was beginning to wonder if our marriage was a good idea. At that moment, Steve's cell phone notification rang.
I'm going to step out for a bit.
He got dressed and went out. I didn't think anything of it other than he seemed so carefree, but I should have asked him then. I contemplated the house a lot, and with what Penny said, I tried to think positively that living together would have been more comfortable than I expected, and we decided to build a 2-story house in the end. In any case, I was very happy to have a home of my own. The exterior was completed, and then the interior was done. The dream home was steadily becoming a reality. Steve left everything to me, saying idea, and was too busy. When I needed a signature from the household, he signed quickly without even trying to read the document. Although I was annoyed by his aloofness, he left me alone to do whatever I wanted and however I wanted. From the start of construction to the completion, everything went smoothly as imagined. Finally, the day of the handover. On that day, Steve and Penny went to a state agency to get the new keys. I had to work, so I headed straight after meeting with a client. When I arrived, they were already waiting at the front.
Wow. It's finally done. My ideal house. Amazing. I'm so happy to have found this site.
I ran up to them in excitement.
It's true. It's a big, beautiful house. Magnificent. I don't know how to thank you. Thank you for everything until now.
Penny happily mentioned.
Until now, what has been your experience with our service? It was a lot of stress, but when I house, all that was blown away.
I exclaimed.
Well, I'm sorry, but can you also blow away with the fee?
Excuse me.
I just stood there, not understanding what was happening.
Hello!
A woman came out of the car.
She is the daughter of the president's work. I want to marry her. Please divorce.
He said it like he was just canceling me. I was at a loss for words when Penny.
So that's that? You're nothing compared to the boss daughter. He's going to get a promotion in the so you should understand and back. Oh, but the mortgage on the house is name 9, right?
No way. You're kidding. Do you know it too, Penny? You two were in on it together, that terrible. You've been home late. Was it because you were seeing this woman? How dare you?
I was so confused by what was happening that I just blurted out whatever came to mind. The woman was outrageous, too.
It is what it is. I'm sorry.
How could she take someone's husband nonchalantly? I thought someone would tell me it was a joke, but no one did. I eventually realized that everyone's serious, and my blood drained from. I was in tears of defeat, unable to inside my new home, and left the P. Hearing their laughter. I spent 3 days and 3 nights in hospital, but my parents helped me regain my strength. I eventually went back to work and myself busy tackling the work that up. Fortunately, I didn't have time to think about the calamity, but when it popped into my mind, I felt great despair. I wasn't just going to cry myself to. I didn't plan on forgiving them so easily. Then I was offered a new project with the biggest paycheck ever. It was an opportunity for a fresh zone. I fell behind Steve, who moved his first, but I moved into a beautiful apartment when my move was done and settled to start my revenge against him. Of course, I wanted to make Penny. A few days later, I met up with him at a coffee shop and told him that I wanted to settle everything and that I would file for divorce.
So I want you to sign these documents and also the property division agreement. Sign here and here.
He signed as he was told without any questions. When he was done,
Thank you. Please take good care of the loan.
I cheerfully mentioned.
What are you talking about? That house is in your name, right?
He smirked.
Don't you remember this?
I played a recording of me suggesting a joint loan while he was playing it.
What's this? I don't remember it. What's a joint loan?
Even if he didn't remember, it was the recording. Besides,
You sign the papers yourself. A joint loan is an agreement between husband and wife that they will pay mortgage together. It can be a good option if both parties have good credit scores, as it can help them qualify for better interest rates and higher loan amounts than they would otherwise be able to obtain individually. However, it also means that both parties are responsible for the entire debt. So if one party defaults on the mortgage, the other will still be liable for the full amount owed.
the documents that he signed without them also contained an application for a loan.
Am I supposed to pay for half of this? That's impossible.
I couldn't stand his attitude to escape after all he had done.
I'm sorry to hear that. You signed papers just now, didn't you? After what happened, I consulted with the bank I borrowed from and my lawyer. We consolidated your loans into one name because you will still be living in the same house. You're going to have to pay for everything.
What are you talking about? You care.
I could do it. My parents were out world furious. You know, my father was a banker, right? His subordinates hold him in high esteem. One of them took care of the loan sewn me, so I told him everything that had happened, and he told me how to transfer the money to you.
Steve's face grew paler by the second.
Wait, you did not. Actually, I tried living with the boss's daughter, but things didn't work out. She's back at her parents' house right now. The president is angry with me. He said he was going to cancel my I'm not getting a raise, and if we reconcile, I won't be able to stay company. 33.
I couldn't care less. I was betrayed by him in front of me, had been with for years.
Suck it up. You will receive the loan documents later on. You can take care of the rest. It's none of my business now. 33.
Honey, don't say that. Help me.
He started crying in the cafe, and people around him were staring at him. He was about to say something, but want to hear anything else. I hoped he would be punished for his actions like a cash machine. After walking a few steps away from the table, I realized that I had forgotten my money for the coffee and returned.
It's just a coffee. I'll even pay for it.
Steve mumbled.
After all that talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars, it may not be a deal. I just don't want to owe you even
Tears welled up in his eyes again. A grown man crying in a coffee shop, hideous sight. I quietly put the $10 bill on and left. A few months later, the house is up. My father has been in contact with his ex-subordinate. I've heard that Steve fell behind on payments after paying a certain amount towards the sale of Penny's house. He resigned from his job, so I assume the woman dumped him. I wonder what he's going to do with of the loan until he finds a buyer. He's been unable to find a job and has no income, so he's living in an apartment with Penny. She is working as a cleaner to make meat. As for me, my work is going well, and I am fulfilled every day. I am increasingly being entrusted designs for major companies. I recently worked on a corporate wellness program that included a healthy eating component. The irony was that it was a page for real estate companies' family home camp. In any case, it's a joy to see them happy when they see what I have created. As my network of business contacts grows, I've met a guy who caught my attention. He is a hardworking competitor. I'm 35 years old now. I can start however I want. It's up to the person to decide where life starts to get interesting.